So before I get into this video, I wanted to address the fact that this is going to be a two-part. It isn't just the TWAB, it is also including an article that I didn't get to yesterday, just because, you know, Destiny was back on. As soon as I logged on, I was pretty much right into raiding. So, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of ignored it. I heard the discussion and then saw it was an actual blog post, so I figured I'd include it with the TWAB in case you're wondering why it took so long. But, like I said, this is going to be covering yesterday's blog post, which honestly should just be wrapped in the TWAB considering how short it was, but aside from that, going into it. So it's mainly an address of economy and how things are going to be changing in Nightfall. So up and coming next season, Umbral engrams. Umbral engrams will no longer drop in Destiny 2, but don't worry, seasonal content will transition into using seasonal engrams. Any Umbral engrams that the players will still have in their inventory after Season 20 begins will be decryptable by Rahul as usual. Now, 801 is also selling Destiny 2 shaders that have been unavailable for quite some time. 801 has wares if you have 1,000 Glimmer. But keep in mind, or 10,000 Glitter, but she'll only be offering 3 shaders per week during Season 20. So a large majority of them are old stuff. Like all of this is old Black Armory, Genotype Null 0, that was from the old Escalation Protocol, Dark Amalon, Envious Tusk, Season of the Arrivals, Gold Leaf, Golden Empire, Cinder Charge, Shadow Guilt, that was Season of Opulence, Vitrified Chronology, all of these were all Season of the Worthy, Mad Monk, Bright Innovation, this was all Warmind. I'm assuming a lot of these were actually Warmind and going into what's the word? What's the word? Warmind and Curse of Osiris. And then as well, Tangled stuff. All of these is old Tangled Shore stuff. And a lot of these new Pacific ones, these are all the old worlds that weren't from worlds we had before, no longer available. As well as a bunch of the old faction shaders like New Monarchy, Future War Cult, a lot of old stuff like that. So all those shaders, if you haven't had them before, will be available at 801. And so, honestly, just because of the fact that it is recurring, I might actually start visiting 801 more and more just so people can know what comes around each week for old shaders. Now, as well, going into it, they're actually adding Vanguard focusing like Crucible and like Gambit. So, going into next season, Vanguard engrams will be a virtual currency and will live exclusively at the rank progress bar on Commander Zavala like Gambit engrams. And Vanguard engrams may be opened individually by players directed on Zavala. Of course, you can focus the gear directly either Vanguard armor or Vanguard weapons. Vanguard engrams do not need to be claimed in order to be spent on focusing. So if they're in the progress bar and you have, say, 5 available, you have 5 engrams that can be used for focusing. Individually, pieces of gear must be acquired at least once prior to being available for focusing. And of course, the Vanguard armor going to be available during Season 20 is going to be the Photo Suede set, which is what we currently have now. Class item, not focusable, as class items do not have base stats. So you have to earn these class item just to have it, I guess. Now, the weapons will be available are essentially all the weapons we've gotten for the Strike playlist since Beyond Light launched. Xenoclast 4, the shotgun, Third Axiom, the Pulse Rifle, Royal Entry, the Rocket Launcher, if I'm remembering correctly, Empty Vessel, the Grenade Launcher, Punching Out, the... forget that one. But also Fortissimo 11, the Shotgun, Strident Whistle, the Bow, Pure Poetry, the Hand Cannon, and Prolonged Engagement, the SMG. So, of course, brand new weapons are going to be dropped for a single season and then are available for the focusing for the following season. So, back during season of the Plunder last season, Strident Whistle was officially available for focusing, but Pure Poetry was dropping freshly new from strikes. This season, Pure Poetry is now focusable, Prolonged Engagement is earnable from strikes. But next season, we'll have a brand new Vanguard weapon that is going to be available, and everything in prior season is going to be focusable, in case you don't know how that works. Now, as well, they will expand further during following seasons, as usual. Now, Nightfall specifically. Zavala will also offer Nightfall weapon focusing, and this will function a lot like Trials, in case it sounds familiar. Now, Nightfall weapons must be acquired from Nightfall strikes at least once before being available for focusing. The cost will be 1 Vanguard engram, 20,000 Glimmer, and 50 Legendary Shards. The weapons available for Nightfall focusing in Season 20 will be Militia's Birthright Lightweight Grenade Launcher, Mind Demender's Ambition, the Shotgun, Wendigo GL3, the Heavy Grenade Launcher, Hungry SR4, the Scout Rifle, the Swarm, a Machine Gun, as well as Buzzard, which is actually a returning sidearm from the old ritual weapons during Season of the Dawn, which gives me hope that Python comes back. Please, Python, come back. But also, as well, Adept Nightfall Ciphers. Now, when completing Grandmaster Nightfalls, in addition to previously existing rewards, player will also acquire Adept Nightfall Ciphers. The number of ciphers that players earn depends on whether the player qualifies for Platinum, Gold, or Silver rewards at the end of the Nightfall. So, aka, you Platinum rewards, you get 2 ciphers, Gold you get 1, and Silver you get 0. So there's actually incentive to actually wipe out all champions as opposed to just running through them now. So, for a deeper breakdown, A normal Nightfall weapon cost will be 1 engram, 20,000 glimmer, and 25 legendary shards for 0 adept snipers. Oddly enough, Nightfall weapons are cheaper than normal weapons. And then we also have adept Nightfall weapons, which requires 3 Vanguard engrams to make, 50,000 glimmer, 50 legendary shards, as well as 10 adept Nightfall ciphers. So to break it down, in order to buy an adept Nightfall weapon, you need to run 5 different GMs on platinum requirements. So if there's ever an easy one to farm during a week, I'd recommend farming them. I don't know how many ciphers you're allowed to hold, but hopefully you can have a lot so you can build them up. And functionally, this will also go like Trials does. Zavala will offer a single adept Nightfall weapon for each focusing week, matching the Nightfall weapon currently in rotation. So currently, like this week, we have Horror's Least. Horror's Least Adept would be the only one you can buy. So, and to basically explain it that way. Adept Nightfall weapons will be available in Season 20, including Malicious Birthright, Mindbender's Ambition, Wendigo GL3, Hungry SR4, The Swarm, and the Buzzard Adept. So all of those will be available next season for an Adept. We also have our rotation. Now, as well as Legacy Gear focus, basically, Vanguard and Nightfall focusing isn't the only update coming. In fact, every ritual will see growth in the number of items available for focusing, as well as introduce Legacy Gear focusing. The system will allow players to obtain many pieces of gear from the last several seasons of years of Destiny 2, many of which had not been accessible for some time, aka the was around for a season ended, no longer available sort of stuff. So, armor sets available for Legacy focusing at the Crucible will be Sword Flight gear, the Phoenix Strike gear, Anka Seeker gear, Wing Contender, Wing Disciple, and Wind Theron gear, as well as the Cinder Pinion sets. Now, the armor focusing cost, as if a player has not acquired a piece of armor previously, will be 3 Crucible engrams, 50 legendary shards, and 10,000 glimmer. If a player has already had the gear and they just want to respawn it, it takes 1 engram, 25 shards, and 5,000 glimmer. Now, the same thing goes for other things. The Vanguard. Nightfall weapons available for Legacy focusing will include Plug 1, the original Pinnacle, I do believe, Uzume RR4, which I forget what that one... Oh, right, that Amalan Sniper, as well as the Hothead, the Comedian, Duty Bound, Silicon Neuroma, and DFA, as well as Horror's Leasts. Note, adept version of Legacy weapons will not be available for focusing. So while you will have access to these guns traditionally, you will not have access to the adept versions. The adept versions you can earn is dependent on the season of when they are around. So as well, Nightfall weapon focusing costs. If a player has not acquired the weapon previously, it will take 7 engrams, 100 shards, and 10,000 glimmer. But if you had it previously, it will only take 3... Oh, whoops. Click too many buttons. 3 Vanguard engrams, 25 shards, and 25,000 glimmer. Now, as well, the armor sets available for Legacy focusing goes all the way to, I believe, Vanilla, including the Took Offensive, the Shelter in Place, Xenos Veil, 4 Phobos Warden, and Vigil of Heroes sets. Now, Vanguard armor focusing costs as the same thing. If they have not acquired the armor and they're trying to get it, it will be 3 Vanguard engrams, 50 shards, and 10k glimmer. But if a player has previously acquired it, it'll be 1 engram, 25 shards, and 5,000 glimmer. The same thing goes for Gambit. The Calamity Rig and Ancient Apocalypse Seps will be available for focusing at Gambit's armor. If a player has not acquired it, same cost for each thing, difference being just Gambit engrams. Now, as well, with Iron Banner, there will be weapons available for Legacy focusing, including the Archon's Thunder, Reese Walker, Occluded Finality, Forge's Pledge, Peace Bond, and Frontier's Cry. Now, as well as a bunch of the armor sets, of course, being able to acquire, and the same, actually, no, these are a little bit different. If a player has not acquired them previously, it'll take 7 Iron Engrams, 100 Shards, and 10k Glimmer. But if they have, it'll only take 3 Iron Engrams, 25 Shards, and 25,000 Glimmer. And this applies to Trials as well, being able to Legacy focus Shira's Wrath, Reed's Redept, Aisha's Embrace, Burden of Guilt, and Forgiveness. And of course, Adept weapons not available for focusing. Both sets of Trials gear we've had will return, and as well, same sort of costs as Iron Banners for focusing regarding armor, acquired or otherwise. Now, as well, things like shaders, emblems, ghost protections, and other cosmetics that players could previously earn in-game will be added to match rewards. This means that players who missed out on cosmetic rewards in the past have a chance of receiving rewards like Carminica shader or the Red Jack projection at the end of a match. As of Season 20, we will see these Legacy match rewards implemented for Crucible, Vanguard, Gambit, and Iron Banner. Details for Legacy match rewards for Trials of Osiris will come down the road. Now, just as usual, lower focusing costs. So, Crucible, Gambit, and Vanguard focusing will see these costs up and coming now. 1 engram from the ritual will be required. Crucible, Gambit, and Vanguard, depending on Valor vendor, as well as 5,000 Glimmer and 25 Shards. Trial of Osiris, Iron Banner, and Nightfall focusing will see the following costs. 1 Ritual Engram, Trials, Iron Banner, or Vanguard, depending on the vendor, and 28k Glimmer, as well as 50 shards. The Adept focusing for Trials of Osiris and Nightfall weapons will go 1 Engram, Trials or Vanguard, depending on the vendor, 50k, 57 Wind, or 10 Nightfall Ciphers. So that's basically the sum up of everything. There's a shakeup of the loot pool coming next season. Now, this is also the details. I'm sure you noticed some of those gears available in Legacy are stuff we currently have. This is why they're telling us what we are losing next season. So, for Trials, we are losing the Forgiveness Sidearm and the Burden of Guilt Fusion Rifle, which I believe came during Season of the Haunted. And we are getting back the Astral Horizon Shotgun and a new SMG, the Immortal. Now, with Iron Banner, we're losing the Razor's Edge Sword and the Frontier's Cry Hand Cannon, also coming with Haunted, I believe. And gaining the Yorm's Claw Pulse Rifle and the Body of the Fox Sniper Rifle. Those are returning from early days. And with the Nightfall weapons, we are losing the Horror's Least and DFA and gaining the return of Buzzard as well as the Swarm, hopefully with new rolls on both of them. Now, of course, anything in this post that you're surprised by, anything you're hoping to see, be sure to sound off on the new socials, of course, regarding the Destiny 2 team as general, as Bungie and Reddit, in case you want to give valuable feedback and not just at the community managers and say, I don't like that. These are the places to actually give feedback now. But that is most of the update there. So that is the economy update. But then getting into the TWAB itself, of course, they wanted to talk about stuff from yesterday, similar last week. This is the quick blog post update that we just talked about. And then, of course, they wanted to mention, this is what I mentioned in the reset, they had a hotfix that broke some things, so they had to roll it back and go backwards. So there was some time that you could actually play on reset that it was rolled back. So think of it this way. If you started playing right at reset and were playing for the next hour and a half, and if you earned anything that you actually wanted, sadly, they had to roll it backwards a few hours, so anything you earned in that window is no longer available as well. It had to be rolled back 8:20 a.m. Pacific on January 4th, so any progress between that time, that area has to be refunded. And I do believe any silver spent or other things like that will be returned. It's just a matter of game earnings, I suppose. Now, as well, it is the time of year to vote on armor for Festival Lost, but they're actually shifting it up. Since last year's voting wasn't consistent among folks, they're changing it from one theme versus the other theme to a single theme and what kind of version you would want. So the idea is this year is creepy crawlies, and warning in case this is a phobia of something, because I know there are a bunch of people that do. But essentially, we're picking between a spider creepy crawly set, which honestly, looking at the armor concept, looks pretty cool. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want that. And also what looks to be kind of a beetle set, to put it in comparison. Cicada maybe something. But it's essentially, both themes are bugs, it's just determined on what theme you want to go with. And of course, voting is of course going to go through emails. If you signed up for emails via your Bungie account, you'll receive an email allowing you to vote for your primary class. If you're Hunter main, you'll receive a Hunter email. Basically, you'll see the version that you'll use most and that kind of thing. And as well as, disclaimer, these are draft concepts. So we don't plan on changing them. We reserve the right to do so. But we're saying that this, in case the art team changes something, then there we go. Now, upcoming content changes. This is important for anyone missing out on stuff from the season. The weekly deep side red border focusing from the EXO frame at the helm will be adjusted to daily availability for the remainder of the season to help players craft those final weapons before Nightfall arrives. This will apply to vendors offering guaranteed deep side vendor focusing from season 16 to 18. So everything this year, if there's anything you're missing from any of the seasons going forward this season, you could buy a red border once a week, but now they could make it so you can buy a red border every single day, every week. So, if you're missing any of these guns, start spending. As well, as a reminder, Iron Banner reputation gains will be increased in several ways when Fortress returns on January the 31st. Next week, as a matter of fact. These include an increase to base reputation, increases to the multiplier contribution from wearing the armor, and increased multiplier contribution for equipping an emblem. Go earn the Chainmail Shader if you haven't already. I might actually spend some time doing that. And as well, Stephen and Seraph end soon. So like they say, they will be ended on February 28th. It's time to redeem any Bungie rewards. Retiring at the end of the season for a full list, it goes here to the Bungie rewards page. It'll give you details. And as well, we're getting that time where we need to start wrapping up triumphs and seals before the end of the season, so make sure to grab your fire team and get those triumphs. So the Moments of Triumph t-shirt, the seal, the patch, the Christ Inverters pin, and all that will, I guess, be going away at the end of the season. And of course, the known issues. So, starting from the top. The Season of the Seraph Seal only needs 9 of 10 available triumphs to acquire the title. I thought that was as intended. The Abhorrent Imperative quest cannot be picked up if a player's bounty inventory is full. Players will need to make room in their inventory and pick up the quest step. Some seasons of the Seraph Armor may display the message unlocked in collections to purchase. When viewing the seasonal vendor screen, if a player sees this message, they will need to earn the armor elsewhere before purchasing additional armor from the vendor. That's not an issue. That's how it works. Revision Zero's Hunter's Trace intrinsic perks may not unlock after should you choose to accept it. Quests are completed simultaneously. Uh-oh. That's what you get for not doing it week by week. Many weapon crafting quests and triumphs are not progressing. Deep Explorer boots are missing from the armor ornament menu. Shotgun reticle remains on screen when emoting. Find fire teams in the companion app does not work for accounts whose main characters are from Stadia. Issue! We are aware of an issue causing the next artifact unlock to incorrectly display 0 of 1 instead of an expected XP progress. As a visual issue, only players are still able to earn additional artifact unlocks by earning XP. Now, that is pretty much everything. Of course, we have more movies and art of the week in case you... Oh, that's cute. In case you want to, go. But of course, make sure to follow the Destiny 2 team Twitter accounts in case you need anything, triumphs, anything. Go for it. So, I know that was a lot of talking. It won't be nearly as much until the actual sandbox changes come out, but the TWAB was short. There was a blog post, so I figured why not roll them both into one. So with that, my name is Matt Scorpion, and I will see you in the next video.